Up next, my conversation with Andy Crestodina, who is co-founder and CMO at Orbit Media. I invited Andy to talk about AI at every stage of the funnel. I wanted to know, how can we use AI to increase the brand awareness, how to personalize the user experience on our websites, and how can we convert more of that traffic thanks to AI. Now, we didn't stick to the subject entirely. We also covered prompts, ways to suggest content topics, and how to do the audience research, all sorts of crazy things. And because Andy is so interested in the subject, if you've been following him around on social media, you will know that all the good stuff that he put out is actually top-notch quality. Like it's actually useful, helpful, and make you a better marketer. So I didn't hold back. I asked all the questions, and to be honest, he delivered even more than I asked of. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Andy, and I hope that the takeaways that you will have from these conversations are really helpful to you, and that you can apply them at your work the next day. Unless it's Friday, then, that's it. See you on the other side. Thank you so much. I think a good place to start is just to try to understand your perspective on application of AI in your own organization. How does AI impact your approach to website marketing so far? And what's worked well? What didn't go well? What was unexpected? Can you speak to that a bit?
I love it. When AI appeared as a tool, it was a challenge at first to understand all the possible use cases, because it's so generally useful. It can be used for so many different things. So it was literally hundreds of hours of experimentation before I began to realize like the ways in which it could help me be smarter or better or more thorough. And the key was sort of to go back and look at all of our, not necessarily documented standard operating procedures, but all the methods and all the things that we do: keyword research, influencer outreach, writing drafts, auditing pages, like looking at analytics reports. Like some of those things have amazing applications for AI, some not so much. So break down your job into the tasks and things that you need to do every day. And if they look too big, break those down to even smaller parts. And soon you'll find places where AI can make you smarter, or maybe a little bit faster or more thorough and detailed in those specific tasks. So for me, at least, it hasn't really created new types of work. But it's a breathtakingly useful assistant to do many of the tasks that I've been doing all along. I guess it's pretty common.
Have you got any examples for us?
Of course. So let's say you are looking at a page in its ability to inform or persuade a visitor. To what extent does this page align with the information needs of my visitor? What does my visitor need to see on this page? What are they worried about? What are they hoping for? What are the best answers to their top questions? Hard to do. Very important to do. You're not going to generate leads unless you check these boxes for that person as they scan through this page. Visitors move very fast. So, gap analysis based on stakeholder interviews to understand what the key and prioritized needs are for that visitor, and then writing the page takes a highly skilled person. But as an extra check on that, or to make a less skilled person more effective, you can use an AI prompt to give AI a persona and then look at the page from the perspective of the persona. Basically, build a synthetic member of your target audience and then ask it what's missing from your key pages. Amazingly useful. Imagine if you had a synthetic member of your target audience you could talk to day or night. Do you like this email? What do you think of this web page? Yeah. What else should this article talk about? Would you click on this headline? Which of these 4 calls to action are the most compelling? I mean, you can just, it is a very useful tool if you can, once you train it on your target audience.
So sticking to the subject of synthetic audience, obviously we also have a user research platform like Winter, right? And where you can test messaging. How those two compare?
I would think of AI as a supplement to a tool like Winter, because if you're not talking to a real human, you're really relying on the quality of your training data. which is an input you're giving it. If you have an actual human panel, you might discover things that you wouldn't have even trained it on. So let's say you're doing a stakeholder interview or using Winter, and you've got a panel of 5 target audience members. AI is number 6. It's just another point of view.
Okay.
Yeah, add it to the panel, right? It's just a panelist. So it's the one panelist you don't have to schedule time with. You don't have to be polite with. You can talk to it in the middle of the night. But it's really just another panelist.
I feel like we are all still polite towards AI. I don't know about you, but I also say thank you.
I do not.
You do not?
Nope, I'm rude.
You're
I'm
rude
to AI. I am.
And it doesn't change the outcome. It's still the same.
But this isn't marketing, Tomas. But I'll say that one of the risks of AI in society is that people become too intimate with it.
Oh yes.
So 100%. let's not be intimate with AI. Don't say please. Don't say thank you. You don't thank your car. Why thank your software? Like
That's
just
true.
Yeah. I do not say please and thank you. Actually, I have friends though that do say that because they believe they get better responses.
Okay.
Because the training data that has polite language in it also has good answers in it. So by using please or thank you, you're using words that put you into a part of AI's probability matrix that will give you higher quality responses. Test it. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, I guess so. You also train AI to, I guess, be polite towards you, but I think it's kind of by default treating you with respect, even though it doesn't have to. It's just a script essentially. Before we dive into the whole funnel thingy, you mentioned stakeholder alignment. I don't know how about your line of work, but in my line of work, stakeholder alignment is probably one of the most challenging part of any website project. Oh, yeah. And obviously, I mean, we deal with B2B SaaS companies that usually have some kind of structure going for them. It's not founder led. There already is some marketing, product team, etc. And they all want something else from a website. Obviously, different agendas, different preferences, ways of exploring the internet, and that they want sort of imprinted on the site. Can AI help us align stakeholders somehow? How can we use AI to make people sync from the same page? Is it possible?
Well, everyone, first of all, needs to agree that all these decisions that we're making, and every web page has 100 tiny decisions that went into it, are all there for the purpose of driving a business outcome. It's not about my preferences. It's not. I am not the target audience, and that ideally we're going to use data to inform these decisions, and certainly we're going to use data afterwards to measure the impact of the work. So with that perspective, we can all look at any page, any word, any image, any navigation label, and ask ourselves, like, is this going to work well for our visitor? Even better is to get the target audience members, do a panel with actual prospects, or past clients, talk to companies that are in your ideal client profile and get their input, ask them what they need. Because if you just ask the sales team, or some of the language on like the customer success team, the site sort of ends up sounding like we love us, we're number one, which is undifferentiated. It's not necessarily bad, but it doesn't persuade anybody. So really so we need to talk to them, directly to them in a prioritized way, addressing their objections in a prioritized order. But separate from all of that, probably a huge percentage of each of these pages should be filled with evidence, which isn't really that subjective, right? Where are your testimonials, your case studies, your success stories, your trust seals, your badges, your awards, the clients you've worked with, the data, the statistics about the impact, the number of companies you've worked with, the reach, and if you just, whatever else you write, and there could be big arguments about whether to use this word or that word. I see it all the time.
Yes, absolutely. Solutions
are we software?
Versus product. Yeah,
I know. Yeah. Are we a solution? Are we software? We don't want, our brand is more than just software. Let's call it a solution. Your visitor doesn't really care.
True.
But when the first question is, does a visitor feel like they're in the right place? So you have to be specific and descriptive in your headers. And next, are you legit? So trust immediately, like just pages that build trust. So if you go back and look at some of the highest performing pages on the web, there are like 50% of the pixels are proof and evidence and reasons to
Mm.
believe.
Mhm.
So that's less subjective. So it takes some of the pressure off of the stakeholders and the marketers and the copywriters for being, for aligning all the stakeholders. Because really one of the more important things than the copy itself is the proof.
100%. Yeah, I think, well, me again, we were both in what I call a trust building business, because
Mm-hmm.
it's all about trust. Can you do the job that you say you can do? And I think clients and people who listen to this podcast should take this away as an advice, really. And whether they are a software or a hairdresser or whatever, people come
Mm-hmm.
to you to get a thing done. Can you do that thing? Can you prove it that you can do it? And all those testimonies, all you mentioned, they're extremely subjective. And to be honest, you don't even need to rely on AI to get to the point where you decide this is the good uh, direction for the website. You just add it in. That's it.
That's
That would
it.
be my advice. We
But
Mhm.
there is an AI use case for that, Thomas. I'll share.
Go for it.
I have a prompt that audits a web page against its ability to use evidence. If you give a web page this prompt and a screenshot of the page, it will basically count the number of unsupported marketing claims you made.
What?
To what extent does this page support its claims? Which of the claims are not supported with evidence? What are create a heat map matrix that shows the extent to which I added supportive evidence to each marketing claim. And it will audit your page in 10 seconds and show you where your unsupported claims are. And then you can go improve those and add more proof.
It's very interesting. I don't want to put you on the spot because you're just sort of giving that as an interesting gem of wisdom. But
Mm-hmm.
doesn't the tool like this get hung up on ambiguity most of the time? Like, let's say we build better websites, but what does
Mm-hmm.
better mean? Wouldn't that be a flag, or is there something specific that it does in the background, like research the internet, like, look, this 74% that you're saying is just not true? Where on the spectrum of specificity does the tool land?
It's pretty general. It's mostly saying, if you say like we build the best websites on the internet, it's
Hmm.
looking for reasons to believe that, and it will say, you didn't back that up. Uh, what so I haven't had a problem with, it doesn't go and research and validate your statistics or anything.
Hmm.
Uh, my problem with that prompt is that it doesn't. I could probably re-engineer it, but currently the prompt doesn't actually take into account the visual hierarchy. So you could build a page that just makes 1,000 claims, and at the bottom, 3,000 pixels down, it will have evidence. And the AI will tell you supported that claim at the top with some evidence far down at the bottom. So when you look at the response from this
I
prompt,
see.
you have to. It's not really evaluating the visual hierarchy. It's just saying the evidence was there somewhere. So what I want to do is someday make a better prompt where that will measure the extent to which the claim is supported nearby with evidence. Every web page has a visual hierarchy, and your job is to guide the eye through a series of messages that build, that inform and persuade the whole
Hmm.
way down.
Hmm.
But the ideal persuasion is near the claim. That's why testimonials pages aren't effective. Nobody goes to a testimonials page. They're almost never a popular
They
page.
need context. Yeah.
Yeah, you put the testimonial next to the claim it supports.
Hmm.
So currently, I'm confessing here, my prompt does not doesn't measure the proximity of the claim and the evidence, but
Hmm.
the ideal prompt, and one day I'll rebuild it. But these are detailed prompts, and I could share that with you, of course.
I would
But
love that. Mm.
when I look at the prompt, when I look at the output of the prompt, I go back and I look at the page. This is the best way to use AI anyway. Don't
Hmm.
trust it. Double check, and then I just scan down. I'm like, oh well, yeah, I did support that claim, but it was this small text way down here. AI treated all of the copy and evidence as if it was of the same visual prominence, which of course it's not.
I would imagine that you want to look at it from the user perspective, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we know that the depth of scroll sort of falls off
Mm-hmm.
the further down the page you go. So if the claim is at the bottom of the page, well, there's a high chance that someone won't see it, and they have already kind of called you out on the statement before they even reach the bottom of the page. So yeah, how long did it take you to build a prompt like this?
Not very long. Partly what I'm doing is I'm going back to my old articles. Here's 12 ways to add evidence to a web page, and turning every article into a prompt. Here's a point of view.
Okay.
You go to a conference, don't just take notes, but convert in real time that person's presentation into a prompt that will do what they're recommending. If you read a useful article or a white paper or an ebook, don't just take notes. Convert the advice from that article or web paper or blog post into a prompt. So many of the things that I've taught for years or do every day are now just prompts. So yeah, I have an article about how to add evidence to web pages. So it had like a list of 15 things that are supportive evidence: testimonials, case studies, success stories, client logos, statistics, years in business, top sellers, ratings, reviews. There's tons of these. And I just made a prompt that says, these are the ways in which a page can add evidence to marketing claims. They're not that complicated. In my experience, you shouldn't overload a single prompt. It's called ChatGPT because we should have a conversation with it and go back and forth. So let's move from the bottom to the middle of the funnel. I want to write an email sign up call to action that converts visitors to articles into subscribers. Okay, what are the success factors? Is it visually prominent? Yes or no? Is the promise it's making to the potential subscriber strong and specific? Yes or no? Does it add evidence to support the legitimacy of this newsletter, like number of subscribers or a little testimonial? Yes or no? So, okay, great. I'm going to make that a separate prompt. I'm not going to write one prompt that tries to audit the UX of an entire blog landing page. There's too many factors. So a lot of the things I've tried in AI just don't work. I'm pushing it too hard. So deconstruct that and break the AI methods down into smaller tasks. So in a series of prompts, I can use AI to audit the UX of a blog detail page. But the email sign up CTA is one prompt. The share button placement or the formatting or the use of dates and authors and comments and that's author pictures. That's a different prompt. So whatever it is at any stage in the funnel, I've always wanted to write one prompt that could somehow evaluate a page against both cheese and mousetrap, the search and conversion optimization. It doesn't work yet. I keep trying. I'm a failure at that.
I think you're far ahead of us in any shape or form anyway. Like, you don't have to be humble about it. I don't think there's many people like yourself that experimented with AI this much in the marketing field, really. Like, every time I look on LinkedIn, I look up at your posts because you have so much good stuff about AI out there that if you're not following Andy, give it a shout. Like, really, it's so good. Keep trying. You'll figure it out, I'm sure, sooner than any of us. Now, you mentioned ChatGPT, and actually I wanted to ask you what kind of AI do you use, and you sort of mentioned ChatGPT. Is that the paid version that you use then? Because I think it can analyze the images, right? The paid one.
Exactly. That's the main reason.
It also has this memory, right? I think they just recently, a couple of months ago, they introduced memory, so it remembers what you said, like your tone of voice, etc. Do you ever find like leaks between the chats that you talk to? Because at least for me, like, let's say I ask ChatGPT about X, and it takes context from a completely different conversation that was unrelated and filters my request through that information. I'm like, no, this is not what I wanted. Let's start again. And only then it gives me a valid response. Do you ever fall into a trap of such a mix-up?
Yeah, I've seen that. It's strange because it's as if all the inputs from one account are somehow overlapping with each other.
Right.
I think that that's another reason why accuracy becomes very important if you use AI for writing. I mostly don't use AI for writing. I'm using it to analyze things and audit things and do gap analysis and brainstorming. And but no, if you use it for writing, you need to read it carefully. I have a friend who does. He's a professional speaker, and he wrote a custom GPT to help him, prepare for presentations and write, speaker notes and things. And we were working together on a different project where we were generating copy, and it started talking to him as if he was a it wrote the copy as if he was talking to a speaker. Like, wait,
Oh,
hold on.
well,
It's yeah.
uh,
So he had to have a few words with his custom GPT. Yeah.
okay. Well, sometimes you have to have the tough conversations.
Yep. He had to have. It's like, got to talk to my guy.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll have a few words. Yeah.
sure.
His
I
GPT
hope
got in
it
trouble.
helps. Did you ever try any other GPT?
I do sometimes. I mentioned that I use the paid account or the ChatGPT Plus account so I can
Mm-hmm.
upload files, which I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
uploading full page screenshots. I don't think you have to pay to do that with Claude.
Hmm.
Um, I think that that's a free account will allow you to upload files to Claude, which is useful if you've got a PDF version of your persona, or if you want to upload a Google Analytics report, which is another one of my favorite use cases, uploading data to AI and asking it questions or asking it to find insights in the data. But ChatGPT, I think, is really investing a lot in the sort of reasoning power of the model, and that
Mm-hmm.
new one apparently just uses a lot of computing power. O1, it's called. The new ChatGPT, I think I've heard, is just
Yeah.
another big step forward.
Yeah, I wonder how it compares to Grok. I've never tried Grok, but I mean, if you believe Elon Musk's claims, it's superior, obviously. But I don't know. It feels like there's a. Let me maybe take a step back. I listened to Sam Altman's interview, and he said that ChatGPT has always been made for masses. The design is
Mm.
to help people with generic questions, generic issues, and it's never meant to be a marketer or a salesperson or any expert in a field like scientist, unless you give it some context. But even then, it still just uses generic knowledge to help you out. Even though it can narrow down, it won't be the expert. I wonder how
Hmm.
other GPTs stuck up against it. And have you tried like any niche GPTs made for, let's say, academic research only, something like this? Have you even come across things like this?
I have. I mean, there are. I've seen GPTs that are completely just trained on academic journals
Mm-hmm.
and papers, and so they're reading and trained on data that is very in depth and very niche and focused on certain topics. But I think all of us on the outside using these consumer facing products are seeing models that are inherently just sort of trained on the internet as a whole. You have to give an AI the internet just so it learns language and grammar and vocabulary and how to talk, right? So, um, if it's a language model that's going to talk to you, it needs
Mm-hmm.
that. But the AI is much broader than that. There are AIs that just analyze medical scans.
Hmm.
It doesn't really create much language, but it's read you know it's analyzed 10 million bone scans, and it's extremely good at looking at you know uh, supporting a diagnosis for oncology.
Mm-hmm.
All of us on the outside think of AI as sort of this one specific thing, but in fact, there are narrowly trained niche AIs all over the world for specific specialties and occupations.
Hmm. Yeah, I wonder if there's like Market or GPT or something like this. I don't
Hmm.
know. It could be fun to run some of your prompts through that. Do you actually feel that AI and all those prompts make you more efficient?
I think they do, but I'm mostly not worried about that. Uh, I don't prioritize efficiency
Oh, okay.
uh, because I have to. My job is partly just to connect with lots of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we build $100,000 websites for B2B brands that have very high expectations for performance from
Mm-hmm.
digital. They rely on websites for leads. We build high ranking, high converting websites that take 6 experts 4 months to build. These are largish projects for mid market companies. So, for me to connect with the community in a market to find enough people who are in that category, I I just need to talk to lots of people. I need to write about lots of topics. I need to cover many things and uh, just have lots of conversations. So, efficiency was never really one of my priorities. It's not an important thing mostly. I write one article every 2 weeks. My goal for each article is to make the best possible piece on that topic.
Mm-hmm.
So, sure, they take me 10 hours at least to create. So what? Would it be? I don't get better results by doing that same work in 8 hours. I get better results by making sure that that article is higher quality and more detailed and in depth. It has to be exhaustive on the topic. So I'll do anything possible to add one more contributor quote or make a custom image or do a piece of research or make something that just is unexpectedly useful that becomes almost just memorable. I want to make things that people talk about, like they're so helpful that everyone, if they see something I made, they will stop and pay close attention to it because of the trust. None of those things are measurable in analytics, word of mouth or memorability or referrals. But so for me, the obsession with quality is far, far more important than saving a little time. I'm a B2B lead gen marketer that needs lots of referrals. I have no budget for advertising. I've never bought an ad. I need to just, so for me, it's all about just trying to make the best URL on the internet for whatever topic I'm covering. And AI, so I'm using AI to become more detailed. In other words, I'm not trying to find efficiencies. I'm trying to find deficiencies and plug those gaps and make a better page.
I think in return, it also makes you a better marketer. You learn as you write those articles. You essentially have a dialogue with yourself. And have you ever heard about the rubber duck test? No. So in software engineering, there's a rubber duck test. And when you have a problem with code, instead of talking to a person, you have a rubber duck, the one you put in your bathtub, on your desk, and you explain the problem to the rubber duck. And while you do so, you figure out what's the problem. Because when you hear yourself talk, when you hear the problem aloud, you're like, that's the thing. And and that's the rubber duck test to help you solve silly issues right away once you just start going through the logic of the code of the problem. And I feel like writing articles is essentially putting blocks together, bricks together in a logical way. And if there's a gap, if there is deficiency, you just plug in that hole, and therefore you learn as well. So it's like a win-win. It's a win for you and win for the reader. And maybe a win for AI because it also expanded the model that it can use for everyone else. So it's a win-win-win. No, I appreciate that approach. I think people are more obsessed about being more efficient with AI, having those cumbersome tasks delegated rather than enriching the content they produce. I don't know. Would you agree? This is the direction we are taking, unfortunately.
It's so much. I mean, yes, it can make you more efficient, but if your goal is efficiency, then you might just be making medium quality things a little faster, but having a lot more medium quality things is not really going to impact your brand. Every marketing chart is a huge curve, right? A tiny percentage of posts get most of the traffic, a tiny percentage of URLs rank high in search, a tiny percentage of social posts go viral, a tiny percentage of influencers get all the reach. It's always like this. So if that is true, there are no straight lines in marketing charts. Performance is always measured on an exponential scale. Therefore, your goal should be to create more of those super high performers. It doesn't really help you that, are you trying to make medium quality things faster? That is not going to impact your brand very much. But if you had just one or two of these breathtakingly, compelling, persuasive, informative URLs, especially at the bottom of the funnel, right? If you can change the conversion rate from your website from 1% to 1.5%, that's 50% more leads, regardless of the traffic source or your search rankings or where, if there was a referral visitor. So no, it's really, people sort of know this, but they just don't, they also know it's hard. So AI makes it a bit easier to make super high performing things. And in a way that is efficiency because you don't need as many posts. You don't need 1,000 articles to build a brand in a content program. You need 100 great articles. So why are you making more? Make better, even if it's less, even if you reduce your frequency. There's a lot of research that supports this. But no, I think it's strange. People are, the obsession with efficiency is risky, I think, because you may end up producing things that are just less differentiated than before. And in the AI era, it is more important than ever to make something that's highly differentiated because there's just the volume of content is just going to keep increasing.
Sure. I read this morning, literally this morning on LinkedIn, a senior marketing manager, I think it was her, she was frustrated with the fact that all the content that gets put out on LinkedIn is just mediocre. And she was calling all the marketers for some kind of retrospective, some kind of thought to share all the nuances, all the experiences from the trenches, some of those gems that they get from day-to-day work, rather than just repeating everything else that everyone is saying. And I feel like this is the direction we've always been heading. It's just AI made it more popular. People are not inclined to grow. They just go to work, do the job, and they go home, and that's it. And unfortunately, there's more mediocre people, more mediocrity in the world than not. So AI just made it, I think, worsened the situation, if that makes sense.
But then doesn't that make it easier for some of us? Maybe it's easier than ever to differentiate.
Maybe.
Now, if that's what's happening, yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity for people who do decide to make something that's different. For people who do decide to take a stand or share a strong point of view.
Yeah.
For people who decide to create something that is more visual or more collaborative, or from a stronger perspective, or original research, it's very easy to differentiate your content from AI. Just collaborate with an expert, or press the record button and make a video of yourself explaining this thing in detail.
Yeah.
Or take a stand, say that something's good and something's not as good. What do you believe that people think? What do you believe that will happen that other people think is unlikely? Or what questions are you willing to answer that others are afraid to touch? What do you what do you think? What are your points of view that are unique to yourself? We all have them.
Sure.
Publish those, because AI can't write that. AI has no point of view. It doesn't care about anything. Just care about something, and you're different from AI.
Yeah. I heard this phrase from someone, I can't remember. If all you have is a hammer, then every problem looks like a nail. And I think if everyone's using AI to solve problems, then we will get all the same solutions. Really, the problems will be just solved in the same way. And anyone who has any kind of unique idea, or just kind of maybe takes that information but puts through their own lens, through their own personality and experience, will eventually come up with something new and different. And I think this is beautiful. But it takes effort, and I don't think everyone's ready to just invest that effort, unfortunately.
Yeah, I joke that AI might as well stand for average information, because it read the internet and it summarizes the internet.
Yeah.
But the two formats, here's a shortcut. The two formats that are highly differentiated from AI, that AI literally cannot do, is original research and strong opinion. You can explain that to people. You can show them the data, like there's lots of evidence for this. But people tend not to do those things. Why? Because original research is more work, and taking a stand feels risky. It's a little bit scary. So those are the things that are stopping people from creating highly differentiated content. We're all sort of a little bit lazy, and we're all sort of a little bit scared. But if you can put in the extra effort to make something that is like true new data, original research that makes your site the primary source for new information, or if you can sort of take a stand even on kind of a mundane topic, right? That's going to trigger conversation. Look at social media. That's mostly what's happening on social media, is people are posting things from a point of view that cause engagement, and the platform then shows that to many more people. But ironically, Tomasz, I'll say there's actual prompts for triggering the ideas for both of these to find original research topics. In my personas industry, what are the things that are frequently asserted but rarely supported with evidence that I could create a new original research project about, publish that data, and would win links in journalist attention? It'll tell you. It'll actually tell you.
With one prompt?
One prompt. It will tell you the most common assertions that are unsupported with evidence in your industry.
Wow.
This is what we did years ago, pre-AI. Everyone says blogging takes time. Okay, how long does it take to write a blog post? I produced a study, a survey of 1,000 bloggers, did it every year for 11 years. That it's attracted 3,500 links. That one article. It's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
Strong opinion. Here's a prompt. What are some relatively mundane but provocative topics that my audience has strong opinions about? Right. And it will tell you what people get triggered by and care about and want to talk about. Those two prompts will guide you toward things that are big opportunities for content that's highly differentiated because it is original research or it's strong opinion.
So it seems like both prompts move you more towards the extremes of the spectrum, where you find something that's just so bold and unique that people can't almost resist to look at it. Is that how I should understand that?
Yeah, not only that, if you make something bold, if you take a stand on a little topic, and they can be pretty minor. I mean, people get very excited about and have passions about the Oxford comma.
Yes.
This little comma. Yeah, people care about
I use
that.
it. I
See,
do
you had
use
an
it.
opinion. Yep. As soon as I said that, your brain formed a perspective, right?
Yeah.
Anyone who hears the words Oxford comma automatically has a point of view. That's a silly example, but there are lots of mundane things like that. You don't have to be controversial, but you do have to take a stand. So as soon as you publish these things, you'll get responses. The responses cause the social media algorithms to give you exponential greater reach. That's why things go viral, is because the platform sees engagement. The topic triggered engagement. The engagement triggered the platform. And just maybe, I don't know, 4 times a year, do one of those. It doesn't have to be the main part of your content strategy, but hopefully every brand, there's some values and points of view that are different and unique to you.
I love the idea of Oxford comma. I don't know. I pay special attention to always have Oxford comma. It's like my pet peeve kind of thing. Yeah.
I don't. I'm not an Oxford comma user. I understand why. No, I'm not. There's 2 style guides. Well, the big style guide is the Associated Press. AP style guide, no Oxford comma. So that's AP. The other, Ann Handley, I'll say AH, one of my friends and experts, true thought leaders in content marketing. She uses the Oxford comma. So we all have to decide, are we AH or AP? But no, it's a fun example because if you give AI your persona first, right, and teach it about your target audience, and then ask it for the mundane but provocative topics that my audience, would find engaging or have a point of view, that prompt will give you ideas for, little places where you could take a stand, and taking a stand makes you very, very different today.
Yeah. But don't you think creativity always also plays a big role in all of this?
I hope so. I worry because, there's so many reasons to be less creative today.
Complacent almost.
Yep. I mean, best practices are pretty well established for pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Analytics and the obsession with attribution pushes us to just sort of iterate and optimize. There are not, there's fewer examples of bold content strategies that perform very well. Thought leadership has been watered down to where it's almost just a synonym for content marketing.
That's very true.
Which is all too bad, right? So one of the things I think is still an opportunity is in sort of the networking or the offline marketing or influencer marketing, weird outreach ideas, fun, weird collaborations, or live events sometimes do weird things. I think we should be weirder in marketing.
Like Jaguar.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, did you see that?
Of course. I've paid very close attention to all of it. Yeah, crazy. What do you make of it?
Well, first of all, your point is well made because here word of mouth is happening.
Yeah.
You gave that as an example. I have a point of view. Like I find that very interesting. So word of mouth doesn't really happen when you just write an endless stream of best practices articles. That's not, no one's going to talk about those. No one has a meeting. No one remembers those. Right. But are you talking about the release of the new car?
Yeah.
Yes,
the first teaser, the rebrand teaser. And then when I think George is the CEO of the company, he gave all the presentation with the 2 cars on his side. Did you see that one?
Mm-mm.
No. Yeah.
But I saw the car and it is striking. It's highly differentiated.
You can't not look at it. It's just like, imagine it riding by you. Like, you would look. There's no way you would.
Yeah.
No matter what you think,
So
it could think it's shit, but you're still gonna look. That's it.
After seeing it, did you show it to anyone?
Yes.
Did you? I did too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I did too.
My friends.
Yep. Like, look at this. I'm like, I showed my wife. I'm like, look at that car.
Yeah.
You see that? Like, that is different. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's I commend them. I mean, that takes guts. That's a risk. We're all taking much smaller risks in marketing. That's a brand and product design risk. There's
a huge one. Huge pivot.
But no, I haven't looked it up, but I want to see Google Trends. I want to see the shares. I want to see the traffic.
Yeah. I need to look into Google Trends. I did have a little argument with a marketer. I think he was a marketer, but regardless, on LinkedIn about this. And I said literally what you said. I replied to the comment in the comment section that companies right now are too risk averse. And I think it takes balls to do what Jaguar did. It really does. Like, imagine at their scale, making such a pivot. This is like whale turning 180 degrees. It's huge. And the guy wasn't happy with my response because he thought like they were alienating the audience and people are selling Jaguars because they're embarrassed to own one and blah, 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 blah. He was very on the other side of the spectrum, let me say that. But yeah, I do I feel the same way like you.
But that interaction is an example because this was a quote from Seth Godin. He said, thought leadership always creates tension. You can be certain some people will disagree. If you say something and it can't be disagreed with, it's not thought leadership. That's the test. So you confirmed in that tiny interaction that what they've done is true leadership and highly differentiated because there's 2 points of view on it. A best practices article, like how to make a LinkedIn ad or whatever, there's no 2 points of view. It's mostly we know what works, right? So that is, I think that's how you know that you are going down the path of thought leadership. When you say something that does create tension, that can be disagreed with. But again, if that sounds scary to people, it doesn't have to be on a social justice or geopolitics kind of topic. It's I think this is good and that's bad. I think marketing automation tools are overpriced. I think that engagement metrics are overrated. There's a million little things. AI should not be used for efficiency. That's the worst way to use it. Don't use it for that. This is there's a million tiny assertions.
Copywriting. I think that'd be your take. Yeah.
Yep. Writing is the least interesting thing you can do with AI.
There you go. That's how you start your LinkedIn post.
Don't do it. Yep. You're using it wrong. You're using AI wrong. And I don't know. You could disagree with me, and that's interesting too. I actually, in my article, sometimes I wrote an article once that said like, don't put press releases on websites. Instead, write the story that you would want to be written after a journalist saw the press release. So I say this thing sometimes like, don't put press releases on your website. They're weird. Like, it doesn't really make sense. It's not good web copy. Doesn't check any of the boxes of good digital content. My friend Michelle Garrett totally disagrees with me. Mm-hmm. So I asked her for a quote to disagree with me.
Oh, I see.
I put her quote in the article. Yeah. I like dissent. I want to start a conversation. I'm not trying to be correct, right? I'm trying to share a perspective that leads to a conversation.
Exactly. So, that conversation, I think, is the most important part. It really is. Yeah. Just like we're talking right now, I think just having an open-minded chat, exchange of opinions, it leads to growth and new perspectives. And maybe someone listening to us will change their mind or not. Maybe we'll have a comment that is totally negative about, Jaguar.
Love it.
I don't know. Well, we're waiting for it. Absolutely. We've been talking a lot about AI they use in your company or outside in your personal life. But how about we talk about this funnel? So starting from the top, we have top of the funnel, the awareness stage, right? And that's, I think, in your book, you said the website needs to attract traffic, and you do that with content and promoting that content. So it makes total sense. Content and SEO are a huge part of the awareness stage. How are you using, or maybe how can marketers use AI to create and optimize content that drives traffic and builds that awareness?
Yeah, we listed 2 methods so far. prompts that will guide the content strategy to publish highly differentiated content that's either original research or strong opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So that those are supportive of the top of the funnel. Original research attracts links which power your rankings. Strong opinion and thought leadership trigger engagement that builds awareness on social. Past that, there are some fantastic methods for using AI to do SEO. So part of SEO is about using the semantically related phrases, not just the specific target key phrase. So this is all language generation, so AI is a wonderful partner.
Mm-hmm.
You can give AI a target keyword and ask it for the semantically related phrases. It'll generate some. You could also get them from other tools. But then give it your web page and say, suggest edits to the copy on this page that I wrote as a human by hand to better incorporate those semantically related phrases you just listed. And it will suggest copy edits to the page that incorporate the semantically related phrases. Some of them will sound weird and you will ignore them. Some of them will actually be better writing than you did the first round.
Yeah.
And it's an improvement for both the robot and the human, both the search rankings and the visitor. So those are, AI-powered SEO copy edits for better semantic SEO, especially if the page is already ranking for a striking distance key phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic use case. It's a wonderful way it's a point of view that, and as an exercise, do 2 of those a week for the rest of your career and you'll have way more traffic than you would have had. Prioritize the sales pages that target commercial intent key phrases first. It's going to work out. You're going to be happy. That's a great use case. And it's top of the funnel. So that's about attracting visitors. There are lots of other AI use cases. Many of my experiments have failed. I've used AI to try to write email copy, but it doesn't seem to make an impact whether I write it or whether the AI writes it. Anne Handley, whom I mentioned, would say that the number one reason people open emails is because of the sender name, not the subject line. It's about trust in a relationship with your reader. She's correct. So using AI to write subject lines and email body copy.
But are we talking about cold outreach right now?
No, just like newsletters or content marketing.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Cold outreach would be different because that person doesn't have there's no relationship in the sender name.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so we have prompts to help us get original research ideas, strong opinions, and thought leadership content, but also we can use AI to actually inject semantically related keywords into our copy, probably better than anyone ever could, especially if you're like me, non-native speaker. Trust me, ChatGPT helps a lot, okay? Especially with writing, well, it really does.
You just summarized that beautifully.
Yeah.
That was an excellent summary of what I was trying to say. Thank you.
No, that's okay. My pleasure. Now, going down the funnel, we have MOFU, okay? And that's consideration stage. And that's when we actually have the pair of eyes on the website, hopefully with the good intent and hopefully of the good quality, because, I mean, you might be getting traffic, but it might not be traffic that's relevant to your offering. So assuming it's all good, okay? Assuming the awareness is done right. Let's talk about personalization in that stage of the funnel. How does AI help us personalize user experiences for visitors that are evaluating our offering right now?
There are tools for this. This is mostly like a technology play.
Okay.
So what people are doing is just buying a service and training the AI and giving variants to the AI to make different experiences for people from different traffic sources or people who meet different criteria. Has this person been here before? What's their likely geography? Is this did they come from a referral visitor from a certain place on the web, or are they from search? And then it tailors their experience based on that. Sort of like a visitor to a banking website. If they're on a phone, they're probably a consumer. If they're on a browser, they're more likely to be a business. So the bank website might have a slightly different experience for those people with different copy, different headers, different layout. So this is mostly just tools that do this. So it's not. This is like something that you just buy.
Yeah,
like
that's
Webflow, Optimise. Yeah, there's a lot of these. Yep.
Okay,
so that's going to be.
So it's almost like a A/B test on drugs. Like it's just like Because on A/B tests
Exactly.
you would get this kind of flash of variations, but here you're talking about like a tweaking of the copy, tweaking of the button, showing extra navigation label, that kind of thing.
Yeah, personalization and and testing are the same product now. It's basically
Ah,
creating tons of variants for different users of different types, and then gradually figuring out which combinations of visitor traits align with different actions and different interactions and outcomes. So the AI comes in where it tweaks these different variants in their experience. So watching this space, it's interesting. So Intellimise was a one of the tools that was doing this.
mm-hmm.
It's not A or B. There's 27 different variants that it's trying all the time and gradually, selecting tiny variations and gradually getting toward a higher performing layout for different personas. That was purchased by Webflow, so now it's Webflow optimized. So the platforms themselves are acquiring or building tools that do this natively, and you're going to see days when there's like everyone's using that WordPress plugin or everyone's using that Webflow feature. Probably there'll be big mergers between tech companies so that even the content management systems begin to offer these things native.
So to make those things work, what kind of input do I need to give it? Like just a persona, just describe what I need.
We're at the edge of my knowledge. I'm not really sure. I think you tell it your goals, what success looks like, this type of conversion or a click on that. But then I assume what you're doing is teaching it about your target audience and giving it as much information as you
That
can.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of the variants it's making itself. I have
sounds fun, to be honest.
Yeah, I have a friend who does landing pages for banks,
Mm-hmm.
and she was explaining to me just how many reasons there are for people to sign up for a credit card. It's a lot. There's like 20 reasons people get credit cards. Like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So the tools that do A/B or that do personalization and optimization on those are very complex. They're looking at a lot of different things, trying to better understand this visitor, enhancing the data with services like Clearbit to figure out everything it can about this visitor,
we know that. Yeah.
and then showing the message that's most likely to resonate with them.
You mentioned landing pages for banking, and just overall, those tools seem, or sound at least, very inaccessible to small businesses. Is that how we should look at it? This is like rather more enterprise solution than anything else for now?
For now, I believe it is. I don't know of a small business option. Even if there was an affordable version, you don't really have enough traffic to get the maximum value from it. Right? Have you ever tried to set up an A/B test for a small business? It never gets to confidence.
Disaster. Yeah.
Yeah, that you don't have enough traffic. You need tens of thousands of sessions per week, really, for it to be able to learn enough, fast enough to create variants. So no, I don't think that it's these aren't accessible to small businesses for now, and it's hard to imagine when they would be. It would really just have to make lots of assumptions. There's not enough data to feed that beast.
Well, I would assume that AI has some kind of access to wider web of knowledge, some kind of use cases, past examples, or maybe collective knowledge of all small businesses trying to do the same.
Yeah,
and they can somehow pull together assumptions which are like 90% there, maybe that way. But it still sounds like a few years away.
Unbounce, I think, has that conversion rate benchmark study.
Okay.
So you could make a landing page in any industry, and it will be, it'll perform or it won't. But Unbounce has the data for all the landing pages for all the industries.
Wow.
So it'll show you the benchmark. Yeah, because Unbounce pages on the web right now are, as we speak, getting tens of thousands of visitors like per hour. There's just many hundreds of thousands of Unbounce landing pages generated on the web. So these companies that create landing pages probably could create a tool that would use the broader data. But then you're genericizing it again. I mean, now it's more broad. Again, you're back to average information. It's not really about your audience. It's back more to best practices.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So we have Mofu covered. Now, Bofu, we talked about it a bit. You mentioned, I think it was a newsletter. Conversion, that's what we care about at this stage. That's what we want. What role does AI play here in improving those conversions? Does it lean more towards like predictive analytics or optimizing components like call to actions? Where is it?
Well, the most the best use case I've seen so far is pretty low tech. Most web pages have big missed opportunities. Show me any B2B service page, and I'll show you, even at a glance, probably some things that might make a difference. Like, skilled conversion optimizers who've done lots and lots of web can look at things and almost just heuristically see
Just
opportunity.
point at it. Yeah.
Yep. Sometimes. Yep. Do 1,000 websites and you'll get a pretty good idea. If you're in and out of analytics accounts every day, you get a pretty good idea. But maybe you haven't built 1,000 websites, which is normal. AI, if you give it your persona first and give it your web page, will tell you all of the questions you failed to answer for your visitor, all of the objections you failed to address for your visitor, and all of the assertions that you did not support with evidence. Service pages, really, that's the job. The visitor lands, question 1, am I in the right place? Question 2, are they legitimate? Have they done this before? Done it for companies like mine? So that's the job of a service page. A high converting service page guides the eye through a visual hierarchy during which they get more credible, they get more informed and persuaded as they go down this page. So with that in mind, it's completely an act of empathy. What does this person need to see? AI is an amazing tool for auditing B2B service pages. I have prompts that will tell you where, if you give it the persona and give it the page, it will tell you the extent to which you're meeting or not meeting the information needs of that visitor. What are the biggest gaps? Again, it's not about finding efficiencies. I'm using it to find deficiencies.
Yes. Yeah.
So no, without any predictive analytics, without any fancy tools, just a full page screenshot and a ChatGPT Plus account and a battle tested persona, it will quickly give you ideas on how to make that a higher converting page. And so many pages are so bad to begin with. I was looking at a site, we did this exercise. They make carpet for big hotels. And this page about carpet for hospitality services didn't mention like flame retardant regulation. That's important.
Oh, it is.
Durability.
Especially in the UK. Yeah.
Yeah. So the page was just kind of a bunch of brandy language. Like it's just kind of, it was written by a brand marketer and not by a conversion optimizer. So there were tons of, so many URLs on the web are just, would benefit from a brief AI powered persona driven audit. And that's bottom of funnel all day long.
Okay. Well, that's sounds fairly simple. Would you be okay with us getting access to those prompts? That'd be, I know,
of course.
Okay. Yeah. Would you be okay to
No,
share
I'll
that
share
at some point? Maybe not on the screen right now because we obviously don't show the screen, but somewhere there in the notes or maybe some kind of sheet. Yeah,
I will. I've published them before. I'll share the links and you can find them in the show notes.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you so much, Andy. That's absolutely brilliant. Now, you mentioned carpets. We all know what carpets are. Category is obvious. How does that pan out when we are talking about something new on the market? Because again, AI doesn't have really, it doesn't have creativity. It doesn't go beyond what it's known. What about new category, nuanced products, something like disruptors almost on the well-established markets? Can we rely on AI to do the judgment for the landing page in such scenario?
Well, I think if you gave it a detailed persona, then you could, because it's mostly mapping the information about the visitor that you provided with the copy on the web page that you provided. So I don't know that it needs, we could make up, I'm targeting space aliens who are worried about, running out of, trinium crystals fuel for their flight to Alpha Centauri. Does this page satisfy their information needs?
I like how you come up with those things on the spot.
It would tell us. I made that. But your point's really interesting, and I'm fascinated by this difference between things that are already well known and things that are not. One big difference that you'll find quickly is that innovators have struggled in search because there's nobody looking for that thing yet.
Yes.
So depending on that product, if you're a disruptor, often you'll do a better job of connecting with your audience in social than search. There might not be keyword opportunities. Inventors struggle. There's no search volume or demand or awareness. You're inventing a new category.
Mm-hmm.
Search is not going to be an opportunity for you unless you target sort of the problem-related key phrases, which is, still possible. But that's a really interesting topic because it highlights sort of the things that, like the topic channel fit.
Yeah.
Certain topics work in different channels, and innovators don't always find, it's hard to be discovered for something people aren't looking for.
That makes sense. Okay, so we have the whole funnel covered, actually, right? Top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, which were the tools that are for most of B2B small, medium-sized companies probably inaccessible. So there's that, and then we have bottom of the funnel, and we essentially use AI as a personal conversion rate expert. That's pretty much what it is, which is a great idea, and it tells us about the questions that we didn't answer. It validates our assertions. It provides extra context that we might be missing. Perfect. Okay. Is there anything else we didn't talk about that we could use AI in regards to website marketing, do you think?
Yeah. Here's the final step in the digital marketer's day is to measure performance, and
Metrics.
Yep. Go to a GA4 report. I'll give you just a quick example.
Sure.
Let's say content marketing. I go to the pages report and I filter to only show my articles. Page path contains blog. Okay, now I'm looking at just my articles. And then I add another dimension. It's the little blue plus sign to show the source of traffic, session, source, medium. That's how people got to those blog posts. So I've got a list of all my articles and a list of how people got there, and then the metrics, engagement, traffic, conversions. Export that, give it to AI and say, what works in which channel. Make recommendations, make content strategy recommendations based on the performance of my articles across different channels to help me better understand what's likely to work in search or what's likely to work in social. It can do that.
I wonder
really
if the
the better
same
way
could
to do
work
it
with, Google Search Console has this impressions and clicks, all of that. I wonder if we could export that and do something fancy with it in ChatGPT as well. It seems like on the same line of prompt, I guess.
That works very well. If you take the data out of Google Search Console, impressions, click-through rates, clicks, and average position, you can upload that to ChatGPT and say, which of these URLs has lower than expected click-through rates based on their search position? So something that ranks number 1 for a phrase should have a certain click-through rate. Something that ranks number 10 for a phrase should have a certain click-through rate. But when you give ChatGPT all of the data about your click-through rates and average position, you can ask it which of these numbers are lower than expected, and it will tell you.
What's the point of reference then?
So now AI knows all of your URLs, and which of them probably should get more clicks based on how high they rank. Because based on your data, if you give it all of your data, it basically finds the correlation, the expected click-through rate based on search position. There's this is a classic correlation, right?
Yeah.
It's like Advanced Web Rankings has a famous report on this, the average click-through rate based on search position. So if you give that to AI will tell you these URLs have lower than expected click-through rate. If you also give it the title tags for those articles, then you can have it suggest changes to the title tags that would improve the click-through rates. Because the title tag becomes the link. I could also share that method. I've published it, I believe. So give ChatGPT all of your URLs, their click-through rates, and their average position. Also give it all of the title tags for those URLs. It will merge those into one spreadsheet, identify the URLs that have lower than expected click-through rates based on their rankings, and then suggest improved title tags that would have higher click-through rates, bringing the click-through rates up to the expected range for that position. It will tell you. And I have to admit, when I ran this analysis, I quickly realized my title tags are not as good as they should be. Like, it was writing much better title tags than me, like things that I would click on. Like, no wonder my click-through rates are lower than expected for that article. The title is boring. So that's anytime you see, so that's an example. There's a use case for everything. Anytime you see an export button, click it, look at the data, clean up the data because it's probably a mess. Upload that to ChatGPT and just ask, what kind of insights could you find from this? You can ask it to recommend types of analysis.
Just be generic. Yeah.
Yeah. Suggest 5 types of analysis you do based on this data. And it will give you things that it could look for, correlations it might find, analysis, recommendations, edits, actual changes to those URLs.
Wow.
I've given AI all of my LinkedIn data. I've given AI all of my YouTube data. I've given AI all kinds of different reports, including explorations from GA4, SEMrush data. If you go to the SEMrush report and do a keyword gap analysis, it's like that keyword gap report with the overlapping Venn diagrams, your homepage, 3 competitors' homepages, export that and say, what key phrases are my competitors' homepages ranking for that my homepage is not? It'll list them for you. Now make recommendations to my homepage to better target those key phrases to put me into the competition with the competitors in those categories. So the cool thing is it's not, any of these tools that has an export button, but it's not about, it's not just about the analysis. In each of these methods, because it's AI, it's generative LLM stuff, it can take the next step. It can actually make the edits or improve the page or, make suggested copy changes.
Okay. I've never done this. I've always been cautious about using AI for things like this. I would always rely on my own brain to analyze stuff. But you make me kind of tempted to, after we hang up, to just sign up to ChatGPT and play around. Because honestly, it sounds like we're all missing out, those who just don't take advantage of solutions like this. Because it sounds like a huge time save and also really good quality of output that helps us with day work. And I think that's pretty much everything that we want from AI right now at this stage. We just want help that is reliable.
I don't get good results with AI unless I begin by either giving it detailed information about my target audience in a persona, or uploading a report that shows the performance of my assets across channels.
Right.
Now I get now it's useful. The really short, generic, simple prompts that people are doing, write me an article with best practices about, flying to Alpha Centauri, whatever topic. It's just kind of boring, right? It's like not very, in fact, that's the last article you should ever publish, because your target audience can write the same prompt.
Oh yeah.
And get the same output. Yeah. Like that's the opposite of what you should be doing today. So yeah, it's useful at helping us create highly differentiated content based on our persona's needs, finding counter narratives and taking a stand on things that maybe aren't controversial but still provocative, finding gaps on the whole internet. What are the assertions people make, but there's no evidence yet to support them? Finding correlations between performance of anything that you've made and its results using the data, and the money page. Why wouldn't my visitor convert after reading my homepage? What is my key service page missing that's important to this visitor? So all of these are very, very useful. I never really started, none of them did I start with the perspective of I'm trying to save time. I will take as much time as it takes to win at digital. I don't, my job is not done when I've saved, at 40 hours a week when I'm finished. My job is done when I'm dominating my category and, creating enough demand to support my team.
And that goes back to the quality that you're
leads.
after. Yeah.
Yep. I need qualified leads every day. That's my goal. I'm working backwards from that. I'll do whatever it takes. And AI is very, very useful for sure.
It sounds like it's useful. When you say you always give it a persona description, have you got like a little document that you just copy and paste? Is that how it works?
I have so many, working with so many different people, that I now have a folder on my desktop filled with personas PDF files. So
Aha!
there's a ton of them. I'm looking at a bunch of them right now.
Oh my God.
But if people that don't have a persona, one of the first things I would share is this prompt for creating a persona. It's like, build me a persona of a job title in an industry, in a company size, in a geography, with a challenge or responsibility, and they're considering a product or service like mine. List their hopes and dreams, their fears and concerns, their emotional triggers, and their decision criteria for selecting a company like mine. It makes a persona. It will be wrong. Fix it, tell it, remove that, add that, deprioritize this, put in these other factors. Now it's good. Copy and paste it into a PDF file. Share it with your whole team. Everybody on your team should use that now whenever they talk to AI about your brand. And then anytime you're doing anything, what articles are the most important? So let's say I give AI a list of all my title tags and the persona. Which articles have I almost written but never written? It'll tell you.
Oh wow!
It'll just tell you. Yeah, do a semantic distance analysis based on everything I've written in the past, and tell me what the most important topic to my audience that I have never covered, and it will tell you. So, but in each of these examples, you have to start with that persona because, again, until it knows who you're talking to, AI might as well stand for average information.
Right. I mean, tool is only as good as its user. So if we actually pay attention, put effort in, we're gonna get the good outcome. I think on that note, we can wrap it up, Andy. Thank you. I really appreciate it. How people can find out more about you? Have you been up to no good lately that we can follow up on the internet? Like download anything, sign up somewhere, books that you promoted, like anything at all?
Actually, I just updated the book. I've done a terrible job of promoting it, but it's called Content Chemistry.
Eighth edition?
The seventh edition.
Now. Okay.
The seventh edition in 11 years. And the new edition has the prompts. So it's updated for AI and GA4. It's called Content Chemistry, version 7. It's on Amazon and it's everywhere. But also just LinkedIn. And then if my latest, I write one article every 2 weeks, orbitmedia.com/blog. Really, I think everything we've talked about today is there, but I'll make sure to share it with you. Tomasz, we'll get it into the show notes.
Sure, no, that sounds very helpful. I will make sure to follow up in the show notes with everything that you've said. But that's it from me. Thank you so much, Andy. It feels so good. Thank you. I feel so good about this conversation, and I hope people take away many gems of wisdom and use them at work the next day.
Anytime. This was great.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Andy. If you liked it, please consider sharing the episode with a friend or leaving a follow. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again.